네, 4시 반이 되었습니다.
Yes, time's up is 16:30 from 10 a.m. Korean Standard Time till now. We staff are preventing the event for a very long time. And now we are at the last point of our journey of our international conference. I encourage you to join and be with us until the end of the session to successfully finish the international conference today. Let me briefly introduce our moderator today. But before that, I will give you a quick announcement. So for this session, we have English speaker presenting presentation in English. So there are many people who are in need of English interpretation. So please click the globe button on the bottom of the Zoom so that you can listen to either Korean or English, depending on your choose.
Please make sure that you turn on the translation function. It's on the bottom right of your Zoom window. So, 네, 그러면 이제 플로어를
So I will hand over my microphone to our moderator. So our moderator for session 3 is from Chung-Ang University, Professor Park Junseong. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you. Please allow us to begin the session 3, whose topic is cultural diversity in education. So we are going to talk about cultural diversity in education sector and also various perspectives. We do have 2 speakers. After attending 2 presentations, we are going to invite one discussant to talk about them more. And if there are questions raised, then we will have Q&A session. So 20 minutes is given to each speaker. So when the time is approaching, I might give you comments to wrap up your presentation so that your presentation can be finished on time. So please allow me to invite the first speaker. His name is Yeni Rachmawati, and her presentation is on ethno parenting studies in Indonesia. Please welcome her with a big hand.
Okay, thank you, Professor, the moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great time and grateful to have you all here today. I'm Yeni Rachmawati. I am from Indonesia, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and my research area is on early childhood education and parenting. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation and thankful to Professor Yu Kung, who generously held this event and gave me opportunity to sharing my study. Okay, then allow me to sharing my PPT, my slide. Okay, can you see? Okay. Okay, today's meeting, I would like to share about a topic. It's about the ethnoparenting studies in Indonesia. At the first, I would like to share about the background. The parenting research in Indonesia has been grown and developed in the late 1990s and continue to increase in number in 2000. So it's quite news. Within the past 20 years, parenting become a topic on many research and study and start to become a government policy. As a newcomer on the study area, we offer a question: what is the prime content on parenting? And is there any problem or issue? So then we found that the common parenting theories that spread out in Indonesia are universal parenting theories. These theories have been standardized and applied everywhere by everyone and in every place. Whereas we know from much research that parenting is influenced by its context, such as social culture, local community, belief and values, and educational background. However, in its development, the parenting theories derived from Western countries has been hegemonic in Indonesia and influenced in many countries, including Indonesia. In Indonesia, the parenting theories were still dominated by Western style. Thus, Indonesian with its plurality tend to be viewed and assessed or judged using a Western perspective. Whereas we know that Indonesia is a great country that has 17,000 islands and 1,400 ethnicities with its geographic variation. Some people live in the cities and others live in the village, mountain, coast, forest, mining area, rice field, plantation, etc. For illustration, this is Indonesia from west to east, from Sabang until Merauke. And in the bottom, it's the mining area, mining map of Indonesia. So very diversity the mining. And then this is Indonesia. And these are the spots. It's reflection, the symbolize of the ethnic and tribe community that spread out around Indonesia. And then in the every ethnic community, there is a family as the smallest unit that support the life of the nation. Literally, every place has its unique tradition, philosophy, culture, beliefs, and custom, including on parenting. Hence, it is challenging and opening many research opportunities in Indonesia. So on this area is our concern. We digging and explore what kind of parenting activities or tradition that doing by parents based on their ethnic or local wisdom. On the Western parenting perspective, we found that some parenting theories is more practical, such as connecting to parenting style, parenting skills, parenting arrangement and procedure. However, from parenting with local wisdom perspective, we found the parenting activities, it start from the spirituality and then philosophy, the value of a human, figure of God, natural preservation, and the power of community is a basic on parenting activities. What is the ethnoparenting? Ethnoparenting is the concept and practice in the child education and care based on the local wisdom and value system held by certain community group. There are religious system, knowledge system, language, art, values, attitude, and living system, technological equipment, social organization, and subsistence system, and community procedure that are believed to be able to fulfill the life of their citizen. So this ethnoparenting built from 7 culture elements that connecting with parenting activities. Then we catch the value system on the parenting, and this is the basic of ethnoparenting. And then we go to talking about the area of or scope of ethnoparenting. It's related to the spirituality, philosophy, values, behavior, child development stage, knowledge system, tradition, habit, and custom, language, art, and technology. The example of spirituality, such as the selamatan of VOC, value of children. Selamatan is like Thanksgiving or syukuran in Indonesia. We find in a lot of tradition in Indonesia, a lot of culture in Indonesia, so many tradition that are celebrating and make tradition to thankful to God and grateful of the children development or the stage growing of the student, the children, I mean. And the picture of some research that related to ethnoparenting, so many, some of the research on local wisdom on the parenting, this come from various area, from Java, Banjar, Amatoa, Lampung is different island, Sumatra, Java, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and Papua. And then so many topic that's connecting to parenting and local wisdom. And then we go to the preliminary research of ethnoparenting. Actually, in our university, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, ethnoparenting, it's quite new. We have ethnoparenting team. We start our research in 2014, 2016. It's preliminary research. We talk about the diversity, the study about diversity and core identity as the origin of ethnoparenting idea. And then we go to 2017, 2018. This is the first milestone. We walking to our dissertation, my dissertation. It's about the Sundanese parenting in Kampung Naga, West Java, Indonesia. Then pursue the research to Central Indonesia region, to Dayak and Bali, Dayak in Kalimantan and Bali. And then we published the first book. And then we go to 2019, we start to publish our term, Introduction, the term of ethnoparenting on International Workshop CMO and Ministry of Education and Culture. Before 2019, we didn't use the ethnoparenting term. We just use another term like traditional parenting, local wisdom parenting, or indigenous parenting. But on 2019, we got the term that we introduction on the international workshop with CMO CSEP. And then 2020 research development, we go to do our research to expand our research to West region Indonesia, Central region Indonesia, and East Indonesia. And then we collaborate with CMO and PPS Piaud, and then Ruang Putih community music, and we also start the course. This is our research map in Indonesia. At the first, we pursue our study on Indonesia, West Indonesia region, and then the Central, and then the East. So after the research, we got that then in 2020, I mean, we developed a model ethnoparenting Indonesia that taken from the essence that unites all the diversity. I mean, we got at the first, we just only look at for one by one ethnies. Certainly, we didn't do for all Indonesia ethnies because so many ethnies. We just take a research to some site in Indonesia West region, and then Central, and then East, and then we got the essence. The essence, we taken the essence that unites the diversity, and we got the name for that essence, ethnoparenting Nusantara or ethnoparenting. This is the core from all the diversity, from all of the diversity of local parenting in Indonesia. We found 4 core values that come up from the heart community. They are divinity, and then the true human being, and then gotong royong or mutual assistance on community, and nature and environment conversation. This is the model of ethnoparenting. It's coming from several culture and ethnic in Indonesia, such as Sundanese, Javanese, Borneo, Balinese, Minang, Bataknese. That's I said before, we got it from West, Central, and East region of Indonesia. And until today, we are still continue to explore parenting from several ethnic and tradition. And for national progress, national ethnoparenting progress from 2017 until 2020, we got the books that talking about the ethnoparenting, and then journal, and some of the webinar and YouTube videos from the universities. Some universities talking about discuss about the ethnoparenting as a course in their department, and then we build a website. Then we go to practical ethnoparenting. In the next slide, we are going to offer an example of Sundanese parenting that live in specific area and unique, a village in West Java called Kampung Naga, Tasikmalaya City. Kampung Naga is special because they are committed to preservation culture and Sundanese tradition. The first one, it's about the value of children from Sundanese parent perspective in West Java. Talking about the value of children, connecting to the question, who is a man or woman in the universe? It is fundamental question in education, and especially in parenting education, because we educate the people. What is the goal? It's related to understanding of what is a human identity. So when we ask to the parent, what is the value of children for them? They say that children are belong to God. And then children are gift from God. Children are reward from God. And then children are perfection of parent. And then children are born bringing their own sustenance. This is the value children of Sundanese parent. And then the second value is we're talking about the mutual assistant or gotong royong in parenting in Kampung Naga, West Java. So on this part, we're talking about the power of collectivity in the community. We found that all community members participating in nurturing the children, such as in welcoming baby, the elders is connecting and collaborating to nurturing the children, and then mother replacement, behavior concern, children play with various age, adult playing with children, like patrolling, fathers involvement. This is the all the community member is taking care, participating in taking care of the children. One example, maybe just I just want to share about the night patrolling. Night patrolling, it is all community takes turn in night patrolling. All the community takes turn to do the night patrolling in the family house who have 7 or 9 months pregnant mother to help them. When the mother in 7 month and or 9 month pregnant, so all the community member will come to the house, and then they stay there, and then until night. They say that they will help the parent if they need help to go to a hospital when mother would like to take a birth. And then the last one, it's indigenous lullaby. We have, this is some example of indigenous lullaby. It's come from 4 ethnic different region. In Sunda, Sunda is one ethnic, and Java, and then Aceh and Bugis. We have, this is just 4 example of lullaby, indigenous lullaby. Maybe if we have time, we can hear together the music, but maybe because the time is very limited. So maybe Yeah, it's just my presentation. Thank you. That's all my presentation. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, Professor. And that was very interesting presentation. And we will have panelist discussion after we listen to the second presenter's presentation. So we will ask discussant Professor Kang to listen to the second presentation. Thereby, we can have the total panelist discussion with first and second presenters. We'll move on to the second presenter now, Professor Wanwook. He is going to talk about a case study of cultural diversity practice in art. Thank you very much.
화면 잘 보이시나요?
Can you see my screen well? Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Gong Wanwook. I'm a teacher of the Ilsan Elementary School, and also I'm teaching students in Gyeongin Teachers University about the teaching methodology. Today I'm going to talk about a case study of cultural diversity practice in art. By saying a case study, it's not about the qualitative study that we do. I am talking about the case in which, in reality, when I'm teaching students in the classroom about art, how it is in place, that's the explanation that I'm going to do in my case study. So as we have development of the traffic and communications, before we try to pursue the single culturalism of my own group or my own community, we would share my culture with other culture or other country by attacking them or assimilating them with ours. But as we have development in traffic and communications, we interact with each other. We exchange with each other. Now, not only economically, but also culturally, we exchange with another culture. So in its early stage, in the mainstream culture to the subculture, that was the direction the culture moved from one side to other side. That's why those with weaker military power, they are naturally the one who have to forcefully accept the culture of the powerful countries. For example, Korea, we were not a powerful country in the first place, so we were the one we have to accept other country culture for a while. And right now, we also have a tendency to prefer writing something only in English. So here you see a seniors club. We don't have any Korean explanation what seniors club is, but those old generations, they don't know much about English. They prefer speaking or written something in Korean. But we see many board or bulletin board and others on the streets. We prefer writing something in English rather than Korean. Why is it? It's because we think and we perceive English as more prestigious or luxurious when we explain something. As language is a part of culture, when only one culture just survives while others are just passing and going the way of dinosaurs, that is not something that we try to pursue. That's why UNESCO says the cultural diversity is equated to the natural diversity. When we have cultural diversity flourish, only then can we have a successful multiculturalism and coexistence. So then let's talk about culture. We talked about culture in our previous sessions as well. But the culture, it's not only art or attire. it's not limited to that part. When we think about the definition from the Korean Standard Dictionary, the culture means the way of life and way of living that is shared and acquired or transferred by the citizens or group members to realize a certain level of life of living to escape from the natural stage. So for that, they acquire or gain some physical or spiritual gains in the middle of that process. So for the food and others are included and many others as well. And UNESCO also understand and recognize that the culture is the spiritual, material, or intellectual characteristics one social group shows in their art, literature, and way of living, and value and tradition and belief. Art is one part of culture. And among arts, I am teaching students painting. The painting, the art is everywhere. As we have many different agency or mediums are everywhere, we have Instagram, social medias, and others. We use them as a tool to express our art. The visual aspect is everywhere where we live, and also the cultural diversity and globalization. We communicate with others by saying language. We do have interpreters here to help communication between two different languages. But this visual communications instead of language communications, it is very intuitive and you can see and recognize a meaning right away once you see it. And cultural diversity, let's look at its concept. This is a definition by UNESCO. For the group and society, it's various ways to express their culture. Here, we can think about different types of creation of art and also tools. So, by saying this, they are incorporating the arts and also the way of living the humankind has created until now. But in a bigger term and bigger perspective, we can understand cultural diversity, and that is really important. So UNESCO suggests this way of cultural diversity is not only for one nation only, it's for the humankind as a whole. So by doing so, we try to have an approach to the cultural diversity education. So cultural diversity education, it is based on the understanding about the various different cultures. We try to build the cultural sensibilities and also to respect and integrate with other cultures. By doing so, we can coexist with each other by communicating with each other. That is the gist of the education of cultural diversity. This is the redefinition that I had based on other different kinds of definitions on cultural diversity. So this education is targeting at integration. We have two different sides when it comes to this cultural diversity and its education. There are universal values that we need to look up to when it comes to do the education to children, but that is all encompassed by the cultural diversity education. So the all the concepts and values that we have discussed so far about the cultural diversity, when we look at 10 core values of the cultural diversity education, there are human rights, equality, conversation, civility, and the cultural sensitivity, respect and tolerance, and interdependence, social definition, difference, and coexistence. These are all the universal values that we need to look up to as a one humankind. There are some ambiguous part here. Here you said communications and conversation. Here, the openness and respecting to each other. And under the premise that we cannot have just one side just right and others are wrong. We have to accept and open every possible opinions in the communications. And also the cultural sensitivity, we have to have this sensibility culturally to accept and to react to other cultures. And social definition, it means on the diversity, we have to publicly accept such diversity, thereby striking the balance between the diversity and integration. How can we achieve these core values in our education? That is something that we need to consider. So the case studies that I want to show you here is that for the cultural diversity education, as stressed by UNESCO, the importance of the cultural diversity education to make the world sustainable as one international community, we have to work on further together. So here, to directly and unilaterally apply this to our education, as we, of course, we do not pursue the UNESCO's way as it is. We try to incorporate it in a way that can be harmoniously integrated with our own way of education. For this, the Ministry of Culture and Tourism established a guideline which was well established, but that guideline was not put into practice when we do the research in the real life and in at the field. So we have to think about, and I thought about how to well apply this guideline in real education. So how we can use this education and guideline in our art education. We can think about the commonality and the connectivity between the two. So the five things that I elaborated here are the general five objectives of cultural diversity education and under which you can see the general objective of art curriculum. So I will look at it one by one. So first, cultivating citizenship and personality to live as a global citizen by doing the cultural diversity education in art, and also to build one's identity. It had to build trust with others. For that, they have to have an approach that is very sensible. And that is something that the art education really stresses out well. And it is also proven. We have many successful stories about that. And we also have to have the sensitivity of cultural differences and the attitude of respecting differences. When we appreciating artworks, accepting the difference is one very important values that we have to keep in mind. And the practice of cultural coexistence through the development of culture detoxification between boundaries. By saying this, the cultural diversity education is highly related with art education. The general objectives of art curriculum is as this. So it can be different, it can be categorized into two different parts. So the enhancing the ability to communicate between different cultures and to communicate and understand different social scope. And for this part, so generation, gender, region, and class and minority, they have understanding and communication within each other.
Now, let me turn to areas of cultural diversity education. There are four elements: cognition and social immersion, practice, cultural creation, expression, stage by stage. But in practice, it is very difficult for us to teach or raise awareness of diversity education stage by stage like this. So I believe that these four elements circulate with each other, and then that's how I organize my classes for my students. In art education, this is the design process of cultural diversity education in art education. So first we need to set the standard for achievement and select topics to learn, considering social scope of education in cultural diversity. After choosing it, then we need to compare and analyze the goals of art education, and then take it to compare and to analyze with areas of education and cultural diversity and also core competency in art education. And then I confirm and apply detailed elements and also teaching methodologies. Now, please allow me to introduce my classes. It's not the classes that are done by myself. I designed this and another teacher taught this way under the topic of conveying the mind with images using various languages. In the beginning, I showed you languages which is related to this topic. There are three set learning objectives. First, the meaning and morphological beauty of the character of various countries of the world can be explored and respected. It can be shown in pictures and letters by utilizing the meaning and feeling they convey. It is possible to appreciate and visualize the characters with the meaning of coexistence and respect and to share them through various media. So these are the values that we can get, for example, communication, respect and diversity and sensitivity and also coexistence. These are the values that we expect to achieve. And in a primary school, 40 minutes is the one class lasts 40 minutes. And the number of classes designed for this class was a bit longer than other classes. First, children were asked to look at the images and use the characters of different countries of the world aesthetically, rather than trying to understand what it means. But the children were supposed to visually analyze the characters of other countries. When we look at clothing and attire, adults wear T-shirts on which English word is written, right? So I just wanted to break the concept that the people who look at the foreign language, they tend to understand what it means, but I think it is important to aesthetically appreciate the images itself. So expressing the meaning and feeling you want to convey with the pictures and letters during the third and fourth lessons. And during the fifth and sixth lessons, students were asked to admire works that bring text into the realm of art. And also they were going to have a time to appreciate and empathize the characters of other countries. So these are feelings expressed by students. So what comes to your mind when you think of a T-shirt with the different languages on? So normally our students and the Korean students wear T-shirts with English words on it. And students looked up the T-shirt with different languages were written on other than English. And they said like this, without mentioning, without limited to English. So when we see T-shirts with the English words on it, it looks prettier. And the second question asked was that, why do you think that a T-shirt with English is a lot more compared to other T-shirts with the different languages on? Well, in terms of design quality, I think the T-shirt with English words on it are better than the T-shirt with the different languages on it. So I showed students different languages and asked them to find out aesthetical value of the characters. For example, the characters of Kirill and other words, and then people said that it doesn't look like letters or characters, it almost looks like images with lots of curvy lines. And I asked them to choose your favorite word. And then one student said, I want freedom. And the student looked up what it is translated into different languages, for example, Vietnamese, like that. So students were invited to find out aesthetical value among different languages and also to translate their favorite sentences or words into different languages. Using fabric marker, students were asked to decorate empty shirt like this. And they took pictures of themselves wearing the t-shirt that they designed using different languages of other countries. And they even went on to share the t-shirts with others. Of course, they found it difficult to communicate with people in other countries, but they could do it using social media like Instagram. So they even analyzed different art pieces and artworks, and then even went in to write a letter to the creator of the works. Let me read it for you. They are very unique and also special characters, and I like some of them. And I didn't know that the languages other than English looked quite awesome and fantastic. So by engaging this kind of activity, I did not compare whether that brought about improvement in quantity or quality, but I think this shows the power of art education. And I think subliminally, we think that the visually, aesthetically appreciated images is largely dependent on art or education. And this was a class aimed at nurturing visual values among students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentations to both presenters. And now we are going to start our discussion. So our discussant this time is the Professor Kang In-gu from Chung-Ang University. Please share your opinion when you're ready. Thank you very much for your presentation, especially presenter who presented the Indonesia and its ethno-parenting. Actually, when we have many educations about cultural diversity and also ethno-parenting, so your experience is something that is a lesson learned for us to use. And also, as the second presenter said, all the values that the art education promotes is the values that we try to promote in the cultural diversity education. So I will quickly recap the presentation contents. So mainly, the presentation was centering on for first presenter about the ethno-parenting studies in Indonesia. Basically, you share with us many cases that you have done so far in Indonesia. There, I think we can see four different models. First, divinity, and you have multi-religions there, and the value in the religious education. And second, which is one of the most important thing, is to see and respect the value of a human as it is. And third, what is really interesting for me is the communication between human and nature. That conversation part is really interesting and intriguing to me. If you can further elaborate on that part, that would be much appreciated. And fourth, the participation of the local community and regional community. And this is something that is really related with our culture diversity education we try to do in Korea as well. So when we compare this with our culture diversity education in Korea, about divinity that you said, is not as high as you have in Indonesia. We have really different religions coming into place in Korea at the same time. So there's some commonality that we can think together. And to tell the truth, so as we have more attention to the promotion of culture, the religious lessons or religious learning is expected to contribute to the enhancing the meta recognition, especially, for example, meditation will help people to have better meta recognition. So maybe in an integrated manner, Indonesia is leading the way to have the religious education to expand it as part of the cultural diversity education as a whole. And second, the existential value of human, which is really important in cultural diversity education. As other presenter also said, this is including many values that we need to uphold in cultural diversity education: respect and understanding and interaction and communication. These are all included here. So in summary, I can see that the values that Indonesia promotes is really something that is similar to what we really want to promote in our cultural diversity. And so I try to interpret it in the education related to the local community. And if you can also elaborate on the participation of the local community in the ethno-parenting, it would be much appreciated. And what I am questioning here is that Indonesia, looking into your presentation in each region, you have very different culture, and in different regions they build and protect their culture. But between the regions, do they have commonality in their cultural diversity education? Do you have any cases to have a common ethno-parenting education to people? Maybe different cultures that will have conflicts because their cultures are different. But even so, do you have commonality in your cultural diversity education between different regions? Because this is something that is very difficult to put in place in Korea as well, because empathy is really hard part to put in place in practice. So how we can control and modify or moderating the conflict between different cultures in this education? That's my question. And my question to you
is that you talked about art education in detail, especially art education plays a very big role, people say, in educating cultural diversity and also to find commonality. Art education is very important to communicate with the different cultures. So I think it is a truly meaningful approach that you took. And you talked about the main goals of art education in the beginning of your presentation. And I want you to know more about what you touched upon toward the end of your presentation. We first set goals and also standard, and we set standard for evaluation and assessment. The goals pursued by art education for cultural diversity is not really vividly displayed and clearly displayed, and respect and also empathy and respect. You said about these elements, which are similar to general elements of educating other sectors. So I would like to know whether your approach is distinguished from other educational methodologies, and you chose letters and characters as a means of education. And I think letters and characters are there to convey message, and you focused on aesthetical value of letters and characters. And I thought that if you included also meaning of the letters and characters, it would be probably been better. And in each different country, it has a different art pieces. I think maybe it was more persuasive. It was more useful for students to understand about different cultures in other countries when if you have used art pieces. And I think connecting that would have encouraged students to better understand about cultural diversity. And I thought to myself that you had thought that we have a prejudice against English letters. I think that was a starting point of your educational methodology. That's what I thought personally. And again, attending two presentations really gave me opportunity to understand about education on cultural diversity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kang. So let us listen to the answer from Professor Kang, who summarized his impression and also question to each presenter. So we will go to Professor Kong first for your answer. So thank you very much your question. And thank you very much for your positive feedback. You gave me two different questions. I think, but the two questions have the common context, so I will put them into one answer to satisfy both questions. So the image of the characters of letters, actually, when we appreciate the paintings all over the world, maybe that kind of class would be better to understand and effectively accept cultural diversity presented by different cultures. But that's your opinion, but that is already incorporated the existing art education, and not only in art but also society or Korean language classes. All of those classes encompasses those paintings or artworks all over the world to accept cultural diversity, which is really important, but that is already in place. That's why we have those things in place because they're important. But I try to focus on English letters, the characters of alphabet, because not only visual, but also the conceptual art. The language can be one way of expression in art, but their aesthetic sense, their sense is lopsided to Western style. But we have to break that kind of stereotyping window. We have to build children to have their way of judging or determine which is good, which is bad, not just succumb to the stereotype. That's why I just try to provide different letters from different languages. And the core value of the cultural diversity education is respecting different cultures and how we can do it in art education. So existing art education, yes, they can extract the core values of the cultural diversity education, but I try to maximize the chances of doing so by applying this kind of new concept or new approach. By focusing these aesthetic values, it is very likely so the part of the art is used in their aesthetic sense, and many art teachers are doing that. But I try to focus on conversation and cultural sensibility and tolerance coexistence. Those core values were my focus, not aesthetic aspect of art. So our children, see each other wearing T-shirt printed in English. They use it and they wear it because they think they look fantastic in it. But why do they perceive it as beautiful? Why do they perceive it as pretty? We have to give children opportunity to reflect on their own perception, and this is the chance to give them that opportunity. I didn't include in my slide, but I have my own planning not only for the elementary school but also middle school and high school students. For those higher level education for the cultural diversity in art education, we had a one course to build miniatures there. There, the artwork we try to include artwork about the older generation and different genders and minority. Those topics by finding the artwork related to those topics and put miniatures there. That was part of the plan. I hope my answer satisfies you. Thank you very much. So as you said, yeah, this is very understandable, and this mostly satisfied my curiosity. But not only thinking about from the perspective of art education, but also for the humanities education, what is really at the core is respect. So I think in your art education, it was included there somehow, but it was not exposed well enough. So I try to find out that. And in your achievement evaluation, how well it is evaluated, that was a point that I want to find. Of course, yes. The education uh, achievement evaluation, because it is the art education. So we try to evaluate on the artwork or their resulting product they make in the art product. We try to see the process, how they go through the process to have the final product. As I have shown you in my slides, they can do the self-reflecting evaluation, also can have the peer critics. That's the way we do the evaluation.
Thank you for answering the questions. Now, the first speaker, Yeni, will you answer the questions raised?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Kang. Your comment is very wonderful. The insight is very, what is it, beautiful, yeah. I got around five questions. The first one is about the communication between natural appreciation, natural, what is it, reservation. One of the value, the core value on the model ethnoparenting is the natural reservation. What I would like to describe about this tradition, in every culture, in every ethnic, we have tradition when the babies come. We call the welcoming baby. We have tradition to introduce the baby to the environment. Such as, for example, in Sundanese culture, we have tradition turun tanah. I don't know, in maybe in Korea have. Turun tanah is the first day the babies, what is it, stand the, what is it? I would like to looking at the what is the language. Okay, yeah, get off the ground. I mean, yeah, it's the first time. The first time, the first day when the baby get off the ground. We have a tradition. So in that tradition, the parent or the elders, actually all the people around the babies, what is it, reminder that they are the human who have to care the earth. And that's the tradition in Sundanese culture in West Java, who which is have the, what is it, the environment is like a plantation, like what is it, the mountain. So they have a tradition to get off the ground, turun tanah. But the people who live in the sea, they have another tradition. They have a tradition bathing children with the sea water. So the first time after the babies come up, and in a week maybe or in a month, they have tradition to introduce the baby about the environment, bathing children to the seawater. So there is a lot of tradition that have the goal to introduce the baby with the environment. And because the Indonesia have a lot of different geographic, so it's different tradition. So in traditional village, actually in Indonesia, we have traditional village who still, what is it, have goals to preservation the culture. It's very special village. It's not like Jakarta. Maybe you know Jakarta or Bandung, like my city. It's very different. This village is very special. They choose to reservation the culture. So it's very traditional. They have the rule. We call it hutan larangan, luweng larangan in bahasa Sundanese. It's mean the forbidden forest. In that village, they have forbidden forest. In that forbidden forest, they have rule. What is it? They cannot do anything. They cannot do something, or they can do something, or yeah, there is so many rules to the forbidden forest. It's mean to reservation environment and the forest. It's expression about the care to the earth, the care to the green, a community, such as maybe, yes, that's my answer to the question about how the natural reservation tradition in parenting. But maybe I would like to talk to you that in Indonesia, actually, we have the problem. So this culture is already left behind. Some people didn't do anything, especially in the city, in the big city. Maybe they didn't know about this culture. So my research, I go to the site with the characteristic traditional village. This kind of village still reservation their culture. They choose to still live with the culture. So in Indonesia, we have the problem of this. So in our research, one of goal in our team is to reservation this culture actually. How to introduce the culture to the young generation with the maybe with the format or modernize. It's a little bit modernized, so to this tradition can stay by the young generation or etc. In your opinion, you said that in Korea you have many values, yeah. Some of it's similar with Indonesia. We have a lot of values in parenting. Actually, I learned from you. I have the books. You can see this one. Nanchi. Nanchi is from Korea. I learned from, yeah. Yes, this is the book. Yeah, Nanchi. Nanchi is from Korea. I learned about how Korea's people still have a Nanchi philosophy, although the person is now is stay in United States, but she is still now about the Nancy. I don't know the pronunciation. I'm sorry if I'm wrong pronunciation. Yeah, I learned from you how this value, how the value from local wisdom can we can introduce the value to the young generation with the with the new formation, so the young generation can get it and implement in their life. If the value, of course, have the values have a meaning for their life. And another is talking about the local participation. In my PPT, I saw some mutual assistant or gotong royong in parenting. One of the case is in Kampung Naga, West Java, in Sundanese culture. Yeah, the first one is togetherness in welcoming baby tradition. So the elders, it's mean grandmother, grandfather, maybe neighbor and elders in that village participate in welcoming baby tradition such as turun tanah as I said before, or akikah, or the tradition to thankful to God. So they celebrate this tradition. Is not only parent, not only mother and father, but all the people, the elders, grandmother, grandfather, neighbor is participating in this tradition. And then the second one is the elders. The elders, the first one is still family, yeah, neighbor, grandfather, neighbor, and then the elders. The elders is one of the case in Sundanese village. We have indung berang. Indung berang is mean a midwife.
저희는 거기에 그 중간에 그
It's a
출산을
midwife traditional midwife. Yeah, in one of the duty of the indung berang or tradition midwife is taking care of pregnant mother since the first month until giving birth, and the baby is 40 days old. So that's what is it. The elder who have duty as a midwife, they have duty to taking care of mother from the first day, a pregnant mother, until giving birth, and then the baby is 40 days. So this midwife with help, with educate, will educate, helping, and then giving advice or taking care of the mother who who will giving birth to baby. And then mother substitute. The neighbor handle mom duties if they face case of busy mother, such as mother need a cooking or going somewhere. Then the neighbor will replace the mother duty to care the children. So it is common in the village, and maybe in my city in Bandung. It's common in Indonesia. The mother substitute. Some people, some other woman will substitute the mother's duty when a mother very busy, maybe need to going somewhere or doing something or everything. Then the neighbor or the family, the relative will replace the mother duty to taking the children. And then behavior concern. The adult concern on children behavior. We found on observation an elder give some advice for children attitude that misleading. So not only parent, not only mom and father, mother and father who give advice to the children, but the elders, maybe the elders, teacher or the neighbor, they can giving advice to be a responsible people for election situation or involving young generation to do some ritual. So everyone can do have behavior consent, and they can give advice to the children for the misleading attitude. And then children play in multi-age. The children play together with various age, not only just maybe elementary school, they play together, but in various age. Some children from elementary and some from kindergarten and some from teenager, they play together. It's common in the village. Or adult play with the children and toddler. And then night patrolling, as I said before, night patrolling is very, interesting. I saw the people in the house, it is around 20 people. Some men, they stay in the outside the house, and the woman, they stay in the house, and then they talking, they discuss something or everything to to accompany the parent, to accompany the mother who pregnant, and then maybe we don't know where she will giving birth. So the village, the people on the village will prepare to help the mother. And then father involvement. So in the village we saw father is also participating in taking care of the children. When his wife give birth or getting sick, father will replace her duties such as cooking, sweeping, yeah, cleaning house, washing clothes, and taking care of baby. Yeah, it's common to see father taking care the children and participating in taking care of children. So I remember the Hillary Clinton on her book. He offered a quote from African. It's need a village to raise a children. So in Kampung Naga in West Java, Indonesia, it's happen. It's implement in the daily life. That's what is it? We need a village to raise a children, not only just a parent, just mother and father, but all the people all together taking care of the children. So maybe that's all my question, my answer to the question. Sorry if not suitable. Yeah.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you for answering all the questions. Professor Kang, did she answer all the questions? I think yes, there are questions similar to the ones that I asked, and also the things quite different. What I wanted to know is that between different regions, there are various different kinds of ethno-parenting, and also you touched upon common ground and also roles of mother and father, and also many other members of the community. So in Korea, traditionally, when we go to small areas, when there is a newborn baby, then there is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I think it still applies to modern times. And as there's an exchange increasing between different countries, I think the same can be said of Indonesia as well. And have you thought about a new direction, especially education on cultural diversity? It would be the best if you keep your answer as brief as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a hard question. We're still thinking and continue our research. So we don't know after we go. I still continue my research. So I don't know in the future what we build or develop to make this what is it, great tradition to still have a place in the young generation. But I think it's very important because it's related to identity, the national identity of Indonesia, of course. In Indonesia, we have symbol Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. It's mean unity in diversity, because Indonesia is very, very various in religion. We have 6 formal religion and 126 belief, other belief. It's so very diverse. And then culture, and then language and tradition, and so many things. But I think in Indonesia, we still need to reflect, to thinking about what our future, what our identity, because it's our homework, still our homework in Indonesia, how to maintain our diversity in education, in parenting. And I think your comment is very, very valuable for me. And yeah, thank you very much for the comment.
예, 고맙습니다. 예.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we had some question from floor. So I will summarize those questions to the presenters. First, to Professor Kong. So the cultural diversity education is the topic of our last session. So it was really insightful and really practical presentation to know the culture diversity education in Korea. For the art education, it is going beyond the basic perception or understanding about the culture. So when we have the harmony in the combination of the culture diversity education, how can you see how effective your culture education was? Do you have any gauge or standard to think about or determine the effectiveness of your cultural diversity education in art education? Please keep your answer short if you can. So, is it okay for me to understand that this is a question about the evaluation, about the effectiveness of the art education? Yes, if that's the case, yes, for the art education, we not only think about the acceptance as a creation, but also acceptance as an acceptance. So we try to put focus on and encourage students and their participation. It goes beyond understanding when it comes to thinking about the values they create. When we evaluate their artwork, the participation itself, that means they are interested in that activity. That's really something. And also respecting the cultural diversity by doing the artwork naturally from the perspective of their perception. They try to have implicit understanding and acceptance about the cultural diversity. This kind of implicit knowledge compared to the explicit knowledge, they have to be understood in a way that they are creating and understanding the values going beyond the culture as it is domestically. So, and they are still young. They cannot express how they feel correctly. So we do peer critics, and also we let them try to express their emotions on the paintings. They try to paint mountains, rivers in a way that they want to express their values. By seeing their paintings, we can understand what kind of perceptions they have. And thank you very much.
예니 라흐마와치 교수님한테 질문을 드릴 텐데요.
Now, my question is directed to Yeni. There are two questions. First one, thank you for very interesting presentation. Thank you so much for insightful and good presentation. So, as a core value of the ethno-parenting, you said vicinity. I think maybe it is because there are so many conflicts among a religion, and maybe is that the reason that you chose a divine, the value of divinity, as a core value of conflicts among religions? And can you give us an example of conflicts between religions, and what efforts are you making in order to address the conflicts between different religions? Yes, will you be able to give us a simple answer to a very difficult question?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Yeah, talking about the core values that I taken from the bottom of the heart, the community actually. I didn't take the divinity as a value because of Indonesia is a lot of the religion, or because we have the conflicts, so we need to put the divinity as the first values. Not like that, but I take the divinity as the value because I found in the bottom of the community, all the people of the community, although they are different religion, such as in Java, the majority is Muslim. And then in NTT, Nusa Tenggara Timur, the community majority is Christian. And in the Bali is Hindus. But I found that all these people, all this community, they talking about the God to taking care of the children. In the West Java, they are talking that children is belong to God. In the Dayak, Kalimantan, they said that the children is belong to Jubata. Jubata is mean God, but in different language and different religion. And the Hindu in Bali, they said the same. they said that what's it? The children is belong to God. They talking about it, and then we found that so many tradition, so many celebration. It's talking relating to the Thanksgiving or praying or hoping to God in every religion. So I just take the value from the bottom, the community. Not I put what is it? I didn't do put the value because of my mind, but I take this value from the bottom of the heart of the community. So in Indonesia, yes, today there's a conflict. There is a problem about the conflict of religion in what is it? In some place like in Ambon or in Papua or in some place. Yes, that's the problem. One so problem that we're facing in Indonesia. So we care about it, and yeah, actually Indonesia have philosophy and have history. We are in Indonesia have history in the first what is it? Indonesia born. we are recognized. We are understand that Indonesia is very very diverse. So it's maybe different, yeah. At the first, like in Sumpah Pemuda or in Pancasila, we know about Pancasila is one of the symbol or foundation of the nation. It's come up from the bottom of the people of Indonesia, and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika Unity and Diversity. It's because Indonesia is very diversity, and it's from Indonesia. It's already know about that. We already what is it? Understand that we are very diversity. So we need to what is it? Make a maybe education program or something. That's still until now our homework. Yeah. So maybe there is a problem in Indonesia, and still and we are what is it challenging? It's challenging for us. Okay.
네,
Maybe.
감사합니다.
Yes, thank you very much. The second question is actually included in your answer for the first question. So, as a moderator of the third session, I actually am majoring in the cultural psychology. So, your statements were so interesting. So, as a moderator, I will give my comments to presenters. To Mr. Kong, actually, the cultural education about artwork, I think art education is really a huge opportunity to talk about the cultural diversity. You talked about implicit and explicit evaluation and attitude and difference in their attitude, and implicit attitude changes. I think if this kind of education, art education, can make the implicit changes of their attitude by doing this cultural education, art education. How do you think about this? Yes, the changes in perception, the evaluation about it can be easy, but to understand and evaluate their implicit change of attitude, to do the evaluation on it, we cannot do it simply by one evaluation. And this is not something that we can establish just one day. It takes long time to establish the change in their attitude in an implicit way. So it is not only for the art education to do the job, it should be connected with not only art, but also with other subject, history, and other humanities or other education sectors. The child, they are more like a sponge. They can absorb all the different perceptions and knowledges if we give them the right amount of it in the right approach. I experienced it. I saw many success stories, and that's what I want to see. So here we can see the code of the fashion or trend. So trends, sometimes they take out one trend, but when we have sudden change of the trend, then the way of education is disconnected. So in the bigger picture, whether we can have this cultural diversity and cultural education, can we have this in the long run or not? We have to think about this very well. And I also have a question to the Professor Yeni Rachmawati. I have studied in about indigenous study, and I studied about the cultural change. That is some focus area of my research, the retaining and the changing of the culture. I think you have been challenged by such retention and the changing of the culture. You have the co-parenting, not only by parents, but also by village. Do you think that co-parenting can be maintained in Indonesia as a culture? What do you think about that?
Thank you, Professor. It's very, very well insight. Yeah, I think I'm agree that co-parenting can one of the idea that can be placed in Indonesia because we have tradition actually. If father or mother is very busy, so maybe grandma or grandpa will refresh the the duty to taking care of the children or another people. Yeah, I think it's the idea is valuable. Yeah, thank you very much. And I need to learn about your expertise. Yeah, thank you very much.
네, 감사합니다. 시간이
Thank you. I think time's nearly up. So it is about to wrap up today's conference. So can I just close the curtain on the session 3? Yes, we'll do that. This concludes the session 3. Thank you. Thank you very much.